Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Scots on the Run podcast, where we take a behind-the-scenes look at what's happening in the Gordon College cross-country and track and field programs. In this episode, we're welcoming Jesse Comanda to the podcast, and we're also recapping the Connecticut College Invitational. Coach Miela, as always, how's it going?
Good. Really good, man. The regular season is over. Can you believe that?
I can't believe that.
I mean, it's just crazy how quick this season goes by, man. So, next two races are for... I guess, can it be for all the marbles if you have two races left? But I mean, it's really, these are the races that count the most.
Well, for all the marbles in different
marbles.
Yeah.
Sure.
Pulling from different, yeah, sure.
Sure.
Different marbles, right. But yeah, for all.
Important marbles nonetheless.
For all the different sets of marbles.
That's
in
right.
two different races
That's
there.
right.
But I know what you mean. Yes, of
That
course.
sounds good. All right. Cool.
All right. Well, Jesse, welcome to the show after massive PR last Saturday. How's it going, my man?
I'm doing well. I'm glad to be here. Never been on a podcast before, so
Yeah.
it's my first time.
Well, thank you for taking the time. So yeah, just take us through your meet, what stood out to you, and how the race went.
Yeah, so I mean, leading into this race, I'd had a weekend off with no race where me and Steven could go do a workout. So that was refreshing. That was good. I felt like I was coming in pretty solid, feeling ready to go. The day of, I woke up and I was like, oh, yeah, I feel fresh. This is going to be a good race.
Woke up feeling dangerous.
I did.
That's right.
I was sitting on the bus. I fell asleep on the bus and I woke up once we got there and I was like, oh yeah, especially now once I saw it. It was a crisp day, the ocean right there. I knew it was going to be a good day. We got there, trying to figure out the course was a little bit like a labyrinth, trying to go see what it would look like. I hadn't really been there before, so obviously it was new to me. And there was a lot of people. But it was a good day, warmed up, feeling calm. And then you just get into the race. I mean, there's nothing much you can do. Line up at the start and give it your best effort. So the gun went off. There's just a horde of people rushing out. And I got to the front. I was running with some of the guys I knew were going to be way ahead of me at the finish, but I didn't stress it because I was like, there's so many people behind me right now. I'd hate to get caught up in that big mix.
Sure.
So I was like, had to be a little diplomatic with it. Like, I'll go out hard and then just ease into the spot where I need to be. So like first mile, I know I came in through, I think someone yelled to me like 4:55 around there. And so I was like, okay, that's much quicker than I wanted to necessarily, but that's going to be okay for where we are now because I got out fast. Now I'm in a good position. And so that whole second and like even third mile, I felt like I was fading backwards almost, like there's dudes passing me. But I knew like where I was at, I just had to trust that would be okay because my race wasn't dependent on the times they ran. It's dependent on the time that I run. Especially in a huge invitational. There can be 70 guys that finish ahead of you and you can still run the best race of your life.
Yep.
So my body was feeling a lot less fresh once we got off the line than I thought I was. My legs were feeling kind of heavy. I didn't feel like I was rolling. But, just stuck through it, kind of just grinded it out. Midway through, when I'm racing, I like to try to think about something. And I like to think about the right thing. Because sometimes I can get caught in the wrong thought pattern. And if I'm thinking on how much my body hurts or how tired I am or like someone from my team is going to pass me, those are negative things to think on. And that immediately is going to make you run slower. You're going to lose faith in yourself. You're going to lose faith in your training, in your coach. And so when I'm racing, I like to try to get myself to this headspace where, I'm either praying, I'm either singing a song in my head, and always I like to sing a worship song to God because I look at running as a gift that I have to glorify God. And so if I'm running and it ceases to become a way that I can use my body to glorify God, well, then I don't want to do it anymore. And so I try to approach every practice, every race especially, as an opportunity when I can say, like, thank you, Lord, for giving me this body that can run fast, that can be used to show the excellence of your creation. That's what I try to do, and I try to keep that in my head. And I also just try to put things in perspective while I'm racing. I think I might be an emotional racer, and so in my race when I start to lose hope, it can affect me negatively. And so I always try to keep this positive perspective on this race, knowing like the race is the race. I'm going to try my hardest. If I fail, that does not change my value in the eyes of the people I love. That does not change my value in the world.
That's good.
And so knowing that this running, while it is extremely important to me, has its time and its place and does not affect other areas of my life, helps me put it in a perspective so that then I can go out and do my best without any excess weight. And so running's like this valuable crystal that I have, but I'm gentle with it so as to not put too much pressure on it so that it wouldn't ever crack. It would remain a beautiful thing that's
Sure.
not tarnished.
Sure. Wow, man. Dude, I'm so glad you brought up what you did, because you're talking about your mental approach, and honestly, that's one of the things I wanted to bring up with you is, actually, I haven't even had a chance to ask you this kind of directly, but I think one of the things, if there's one thing you're known for at this point, it's you probably have set a record for the amount of smiles you could see throughout on your face throughout the race. And I was starting from your first college race when we ran the Battle of North Shore all the way. The person yelling out 4:55 to you, I think that was me. I remember you kind of they gave me a little wry smile when you passed me, and I find that so impressive. And to your point, I think at least what I'm interpreting is it's because you're keeping everything in perspective as you're racing. And what's fascinating to me is also, well, you correct me if I'm wrong here, it doesn't sound like there's a lot of tactical strategy as you're going into it. I mean, I'm sure you have a race plan of some sort, but really it feels like you're feeling it out as you go. But I don't know. Do you have more of a race plan?
That's a good, that's interesting way to think about it. I certainly, when I was running in high school, we'd always come with a race plan, like push at this point, go at this point. I think me as a person, when I think about a race, when I think about a workout, the way I think about it is I'm going to give it my best effort at every section I can. And so, yes, I'm going to be aware of the points in the course where it's time to go, the points where it might get a little more congested, what side I need to stay on, and where I need to be careful. But at the end of the day, the race is the race. And so I'm going to go in there and I'm going to push it the whole way through. And like you said about smiling, like if I can't smile while I'm racing, then why am I doing it? If I can't see the people that are cheering for me, why are they cheering for me in the first place? And maybe that's like I feed off of energy from other people, so that's something I appreciate personally. But I love when I'm running and I hear people like stand there like, "Go Jesse, you got this." Like I want to acknowledge that. I want to be like, "Yo, thank you for coming." Like that actually means a lot to me. And so those are things that I feed off of. And like you said, feel it out was something that I said a lot in high school.
Yeah.
They were like, "What are we doing for the workout today?" I was like, "Well, we have the splits and everything. Let's just feel it out.
Yeah.
Let's go into it. We're not gonna talk ourselves down. We're not gonna be negative about if we're feeling bad or not. We're gonna get into it. We're gonna feel it out. And by the end of it, because our bodies are strong, we're going to be able to do a better effort than we thought we could."
Yeah.
That's how I try to approach all my training. That's how I try to approach my life in general.
Yeah.
But it's just very, very applicable.
Sure. Oh,
running.
of course. Well, I mean, it's a great line, man. I might write that on the whiteboard. If I can't smile while I'm racing, why race, man? I love that. Well, and I think that we've talked about this as a team, just in terms of so much of this sport is what's going on between the ears. Like I think the way that we train athletes here, I think I know athletes are prepared to race, but when you're stepping on that line, what's going through your head? Have you cleared your head enough so that your body can do what it's been trained to do? Can you, and in your sense, like again, what you were saying, have you cleared your mind so that you can glorify God? Right. And even in that, I'm building on my own thoughts here, but how many times do we get in the way of bringing glory to God because we're in our own head, right? Like we've second guessed what we're doing or why we're doing it instead of just letting the Holy Spirit kind of guide us, right? It feels like that's kind of how you race.
Yeah, I think so. And one thing is, it is different for every single person what that means for them. And so for like me to fully delight in a race, to fully take part in that and give my best effort, that means letting myself let go of these things, of the success. Like, yes, I want the success to come, but in order to see it, I need to be able to let go of it.
Amen.
And so for me, that means like if we're on the bus ride up, I'm going to be doing my thing. I'm going to be listening to music or writing in my journal, writing a haiku, like, I don't know, like whatever.
That's awesome.
But for some people, maybe that means they need to think about, this is what I'm envisioning doing, and then getting after it and doing it. And so I think there is this value. There's such a huge value in glorifying God in all that we're doing, but everyone has a different route to how they get there and like their approach to it. And so being a more relaxed person, someone who I think I find a lot of value in success.
Yeah.
And so I'm a person who needs to let go of that before I can actually be able to attain it.
Totally. I love that, man. I love that.
You mentioned the 70 runners in front of me and still having a race of my life sort of thing. Did you memorize the result sheet? Because you actually did come in 70th place on the
I was
dot.
70 on the dot? Oh, no, I was generalizing. That's funny. I did not realize that.
So 25:52. Was that the first time you've ever been under 26?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. My last race I ran...
26. Well, I don't know if it was your last race, but your PR before this was 26:48.
That was at... Where was
Wow.
that? Codfish Bowl.
It's Codfish,
Franklin
yeah.
Park, 26:48 you said.
Yep.
So yeah, it was like about a minute PR,
Yeah.
which is kind of crazy.
Sure.
Rachel asked me before the race what I was going to run, and I was like, well, I know it's a fast course, so hopefully low 26s.
Yeah.
And it was faster than I was expecting.
Yeah.
And it was funny because like as I was running that race, I was like, oh, this hurts really bad. That was by far the most painful race I've run all season.
Really?
Yeah. And I was just like, well, you know what? It's okay. Like, we'll just ride it out. Like, I need to trust my training. I hope the time's fine, but that's not what the most important thing is.
Sure.
And, like, every time I cross that finish line, I'm so thankful. I'm like, one, I'm so thankful that I'm done. But two, I'm so thankful that I made it through that race, that I was able to put a hard effort in and not give up.
Yeah.
And so I crossed the line and finished. And then I was like, yo, wait a second. What did I just see on that clock?
Right.
And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
That was a special surprise. Yeah, for sure.
Well, and as I'm sure you know, the faster you are, the harder it is to PR by close to a minute. So
Right.
that's a phenomenal result.
I know the
for you.
PRs will stop coming so hugely. I think that
Right.
might have been my last PR of the season. But regardless, I'm happy with how it worked.
Nah. We'll see.
All right. Well, let's talk about the women's race a little bit
Yeah.
as well. And the weather's been very, very dreadful. I think the last few weeks have all
Jeez,
been
man.
affected.
Yeah.
You guys, I think, were okay. It was mostly
Yeah.
just overcast.
It was balmy. It was a
Throughout your
balmy
race.
day. Well, I
The
wouldn't say
women's,
it was balmy.
the women's race got delayed with the start a little bit by about
Yeah.
5 minutes, and
Yeah.
then I'd say maybe 5 minutes into the race is when the rain
coming
really
down.
started to
Yep.
come down. That did not stop our own Rachel Brennan
Right.
from
Right.
having another great race of her own. So,
Well-
Coach, take me through what stood out to you from the women's race.
Well, as far as the weather goes, we, like you said, I mean, gosh, it just feels like we're training and everything's fine. We're going through the training week and everything's great, and then all of a sudden, every Saturday, we turn the faucet on and it just dumps on us. I really thought we were going to make it through the women's race, but yeah, right after the gun went off, God was just like, nah, not quite, right? But you were just saying, you're talking to Jesse about how the faster you get, you're not going to see those big chunks, and that's what made Rachel's performance so impressive. Her previous PR was 22:25. She went out and ran 21:41, breaking 22 for the first time. That's a 44-second. To take that significant of a chunk out of your time, I mean, that's impressive, right? And, I mean, again, you get to a point in your career, you're a little more seasoned, whatever the case may be, and you just start to think, when are we going to hit that ceiling? And Rachel continues to bust through that year in, year out, week in, week out. And frankly, between her performance down in Pennsylvania last week and then this most past race, I mean, I've only been here a year and a half, and she's looking better than I've ever seen her. Much more poised, much more. I mean, she's always been pretty consistent, but even her approach has been very consistent as well, and that's made us feel really good about her progress. So, really proud of her for sure.
Yeah, really fast race. I want to give a shout out to Fiona Smith, the overall winner.
Oh,
Went
yeah,
under
dude.
20
Dude,
minutes.
she was
19:51
flying.
for a 6K.
She was
Yeah.
like a walk in the park.
From St. Benedict, yes.
She came through the 5K faster than some in her. So she's running a 6K race. She came through her 5K with 1K to go faster than probably half our guys could run a 5K right now.
Yeah.
Maybe not right now, but definitely at the beginning of the year.
No, I remember when I broke 20 for the first time in a 5K.
Yeah.
I was super happy with myself. I thought that was great.
Sure.
She went out and
Oh.
broke 20 for a 6K.
Oh yeah, it's.
Incredible.
I
Yeah.
think she's the first female to do that in D3 history.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again, it goes to show you like this was one of the bigger races in Division 3 this weekend. There was teams from Wisconsin. I think some schools from Michigan, whatever. I mean, there's schools from all over that were present here, and I mean, it's a gorgeous. It's a nice course. It's a gorgeous kind of area overlooking the water too, so
Yeah.
it made things real nice. So
Yeah. And just to further drive that point home, only one other woman was under 21. 2054 was the runner-up time, and then Rachel down in 11th with her 2141.
Right.
So
Right.
right up there, very close to the top
Right.
10. Another great
Right.
race for her.
Right.
So, Coach, like you mentioned, we've got conference and regionals coming up, our
Yep.
postseason, if you will. We have a week off. So, what's the
Yep.
game plan for the next 10 days or so as we get ready to host conference championships?
I mean, have some fun. You know, we're we're revisiting some workouts that we've done, but now they're going to be more, race pace, more quality type stuff. So the volume doesn't need to be as high. The quality needs to be high, and so we're hosting this year. So I know that's on the forefront of my mind, kind of handling logistics and stuff. And fortunately, we got Gordon Luco, the coach, our distance coach, who does a great job of planning everybody's taper out and stuff like that. And I think that's the other thing is that we haven't started tapering yet. You know, we're just now starting to take our foot off the gas when it comes to volume and things like that. So that's what gets us really excited about some of the performances that we're seeing right now. Is that, and even Jesse said he thinks that might have been his last PR of the season, and I'm not so sure. I think that we've got pretty much almost everybody on this team, their best race is still ahead of them, and especially given the fact that one of those races is on our home course, and so yeah, we're hoping to see some spectacular finishes here.
Well, Jesse, I will just tell you as somebody who got to run conferences on our home course my sophomore year, that home course advantage is definitely very real. So we'll see what you guys can do.
Oh, for sure.
Here in about a week and a half.
I think this race is gonna be it's gonna be the raspberry on top of the yogurt parfait. It's gonna be electric. Electric. I'm excited.
I love it. Right on. Ready to get after it, man.
All right. Well, thank you all for listening. And Coach, I don't know if we'll do a show next week or not. We'll see how things are going. I guess it's gonna be off week.
Yeah.
I'm going to be at the Revolution Union soccer game on Saturday, and it's supposed to rain again.
Yeah.
So I guess it's fine for us since we have the off week, but I hope I don't get
hopefully-
dumped on too
Hopefully
much.
it changes
here,
in 2 weeks, though.
Yeah, it's just unbelievable to me. Like the last 4 or 5 Saturdays in a row, I feel like we've had weather issues, but we'll see.
Yeah, man.
All right. Thanks again, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Right on, dude.